Hello and welcome to the Crucible of Motorsports, the American 700. This race was supposed to be run during the day, however, with the intense heat in the area today, high temperatures reached 109 degrees today, ARCSOA has made the decision to push it back to be a night race. Keep in mind, these cars have tested in all conditions below 90, so this is going to be a big change, because even at night, it is still 102 tonight, and they're a little concerned about heat exhaustion throughout the day. With that being said, Vince Freeze is on the pole for today's American 700. The American 700 is, of course, like I said, qualifying is a little different for this race compared to others. Vince Freeze got out there and in a draft with Cody Lamas set the fastest laps of the entire session, along with the Maverick Force car. Maverick Force is, of course, quite a ways back because he was the leading car of that group. However, we're thinking that there's going to be a little bit of, a little bit of teamwork going on there. I guess, Vince Freeze has been a big friend to people the last couple of days, trying to get up the order, as a lot of people have been trying to work with the 50 car because they see what kind of drafting potential that car has. However, he is not the most popular car on the grid today. The most popular driver today for deal making was Scott Roush. Scott Roush had a morning practice today before the heat really set in. It was hot, obviously, hotter than normal. Scott Roush had the best handling car and shot up to the top of the board. We know that his car is set up to be a better handling car compared to top speed. So we are very interested to see how Scott Roush gets through the field. Another driver that we're going to be interested in is Eric Monaco. Eric Monaco is looking very, very strong with in the final practice session today, final warm-up in the morning. Good to see Eric Monaco get up through the field, or possibly get up through the field as well. Both cars are set up for more handling, along with Trek Tauger. A lot of these cars in the back that had to go through the qualifying race are set up for handling compared to top speed. Now the cars up front are more top speed related and are sliding around a lot more, but they're faster in a straight line. So I'm going to be very interested to see how this will play out for the drivers and teams. I think it's time for the starting grid for the American 700. So let's take a look at that. Starting in position 42 is Chase Dunbar. Chase Dunbar made a thrilling last lap move on Ivan Brazenkov's Renault to get into the field. And remember, in the American 700, anyone can win this race, simply because it's 350 laps, 700 miles, and quite frankly, it's a very competitive race. Let's take a look at P41 is Chris Warner. Chris Warner, kind of a surprise to make the field, however, he has had a very solid season coming up here. Starting in position number 39, that would be position number 40, would be Wolfstein von Schaefer. Von Schaefer is another car that was working with his teammate in the qualifying race to get into the field. And alongside of him is his full-time teammate, Neen Ratzenberger. Ratzenberger was looking very strong in the 70 car in final practice as well. Casey Nanico will be starting in P38 here. Nanico is looking incredibly strong throughout qualifying. He nearly qualified into the race. If it weren't for Roman Rahal diving onto pit road, he would have qualified into the race. He had to get through the the qualifying race, which ended up actually being a good thing for him, because his car now is more set up for handling rather than top speed. On his inside, you have Alex Miller in the Dilpair Viper, Dilpair Transmissions Viper. We have not seen a lot of luck out of the Vipers in the past in the American 700. However, I believe that car did qualify for the American 700 last time around. Next on the grid, we have Eric Monaco, the last place runner of all of the full-time, or last place starter of the full-time cars. Ratzenberger is, but Monaco did not qualify very well. His car was more set up for handling than top speed, and even in qualifying it was. So that's why Monaco did not qualify very well in this American 700. but he does look very strong in the race. On his inside, you have Mr. Chicken himself, Quentin Moore. Quentin Moore, of course, was the first winner of the Baxter's Fried Chicken race, and it's good to see Quentin Moore on this grid today, because now the Baxter's Fried Chicken race does qualify you into the race. However, Quentin Moore's car, again, another handling car, but Red Bull has not been strong throughout this American 700 weekend. Or week, rather. Trek Tauger, last year's American 700 champion, is starting in the next row up. Didn't qualify very well in the Marlone car. However, the Marlones are looking to pick up this pace here at the American 700. We know how F&S tends to bring out their best for the American 700, or for the one-off races, so watch out for Trek Tauger. On the inside of position number 33 is Steven Thompson in the Audi. Thompson looked very strong in the Audi, and it's going to be impressive to see what he's going to do throughout the weekend, or throughout the race today. Can those Audis last the distance? That's the big problem. They look fast, but can they last the distance? Starting position number 32, we have Christian Vanderpesch, who got passed with 5 to go in the Baxter's Fried Chicken race. Like I said, the Red Bulls have not looked very strong in the Volkswagen Passats. Watch out for Red Bull to struggle possibly throughout this weekend. And on his inside is Scott Roush, the Baxter's Fried Chicken winner, with his year's supply of fried chicken. He will be driving one of the Jaguars here for Red Stallion Racing. Watch out for that team to get up through the order here. That car will be very strong. We saw in final practice, it's probably the best handling car on the entire grid. Next on the grid, we have Madeline Knight, the last car to qualify in the qualifying session, barely making it into the race over what was Scott Roush. Scott Roush was the first car sent home. The Amarian driver is looking to do very strong here. She does tend to do well on these faster high-speed ovals. On the inside, we have Texan Aiden Shepard, who nearly won Portland, finished in the top 3 in Portland through controversial circumstances. I believe they're on probation. He and Cody Lamas are on probation for an altercation that took place after last week's round in Portland. On the next row up, we have Sean Ard. Ard driving for the Thunder X Motorsports team, or I'm sorry, for the Pacific Motorsports team, used to be Thunder X, is looking very strong today. Watch out for Sean Ard to really crank on the outside here, possibly keeping that car under control, even though that car is set up for more top speed. It's going to be interesting to see that car. On the inside, we have Captain Excitement, Mr. Crazy himself, Sean Angel, the crazy Canadian, is looking to be the best of the Canada cars. There is a possibility that he might get Clara Irwin's car, we're hearing, in the Lexus Team or in the Nissan Team Canada car. Watch out for that possibly as the season goes on. Next on the grid, we have the man who is tied with Nick Mays for the most wins in ARCSOA Elite Series history, Kenny Myatt, the Buckeye Bullet. We will see if he can get his first ever one-off win tonight in the American 700 and take on the role of being ARCSOA's most winningest driver. On his inside, you have Benoit Lothaire-Irvine, the highest placed of the Red Bulls. On the outside of the next row up, we have Ryan Hopton, a very patriotic special scheme for the American 700. Hop is looking quite strong in the Castrol 98 car. Watch those Fusion sports cars to really rock it through the order on an outright pace. They were the fastest cars. However, when it comes to handling, will they be able to be under control? That's a good question. On the inside, you have Maverick Force, who has been, well, apparently, Vince Freeze says he offers to return the favor for qualifying very well, as is Cody Lamas. So there might be a little bit of a pact there between Maverick Force, Vince Freeze, and Cody Lamas to get up through the field. On the outside of the next row up, we have Nick Pericles, the man who grenaded the motor coming with 2 to go for the American 700 a few years ago. Nick Pericles is definitely going to be looking for some redemption after what was one of the most disappointing heartbreaks of his entire career. On his inside, you have the Ferrari of Kitsune Hashimoto. The Japanese rookie here for Ferrari is looking to possibly score big in this American 700. Zane Davidson in the other Ferrari is starting right in front of Hashimoto. Of course, the Ferraris aren't the fastest cars in a straight line all race, or the strongest engines, arguably, in the entire field today. Watch out for the Australian Zayden Davidson to claw his way up the order. On the inside, you have Fitzy, the Australian kangaroo himself, going to be leapfrogging his way through the field and leaping through the field like a kangaroo. Watch out for the Wild Wallaby to take over for an American 700 crown. On the outside of the next row up, we have Connor Monaco. Connor Monaco is looking very strong in that Pacific Motorsports car. We weren't expecting them to even qualify for the race, and the Royal Dutch Airlines Ford Mustang for Pacific Motorsports is looking very, very strong. Johannes Rudavara is in the final Ferrari is in the top running Ferrari up the grid. Watch out for those drivers to come through the field, but can they last the distance of 700 miles? Do It for Dale Jr. was the second fastest car in single car runs in qualifying. Couldn't find a drafting partner, but it's great to see Do It for Dale Jr. on the grid. Those cars are some of the most aerodynamic on the grid, so watch out for Do It for Dale Jr. to come through this field quickly. Daniel Voiles is on the inside, kind of a shock qualifier with Daniel Voiles on this grid. We didn't really expect him to, but he got a great drafting help in the FNS Marlon. I believe he or Jackwater is the top qualifying FNS Marlon out there. Cirelli Barakadid is starting, the Swedish driver is starting for the Roush Menards Racing Team in the next position up the grid. Watch out for Barakadid. The slowest of the drafting cars, Barakadid and Voiles have been, so watch out for them. And the fastest of the single car runs was Jesse Turner. This car is the fastest car in a straight line on this Fontana circuit, but will it be able to handle what is expected of a 700-mile race, especially with these kinds of temperatures? Can that car make it around a corner without sliding around too much? That's the big question. Starting in P number 12, we have Clara Irwin. This is the car that Sean Angel's been rumored to take over recently for the Canadian Nissan team. If I'm Clara Irwin, I'm hoping that I have a great race today. However, Irwin has had some bad luck this year. But watch out for Irwin to be extremely aggressive in this race. She says she will be. On the inside, in P11, the all-female row here, we have Tanya Jackwater in the highest-running FNS Marlon. Now into the top 10, Alex Rowe is starting directly in front of his Nissan teammate there of Clara Irwin. Watch these cars maybe to work together to get up through the field. And on the inside of Alex Rowe, we have the three-time American 700 champion driving for Lexus Team Canada, Sean Perkins. Perkins from White House, Ohio, will be an interesting driver to watch as this race continues onward. Perkins is, of course, always somebody to watch for the American 700 crown. On the outside, in P8, we have DJ Curtis, the American 700 winner, I believe in season 16. He won the American 700 at Texas Motor Speedway. DJ Curtis looking to win one here at Fontana here today. And on his inside, you have Tim Fiegel, a driver who's last raced at ARCSOA before the American 700 was even a thing. Watch Fiegel to possibly come out and try and show his strength here in a race he's never run before. P6 for Tyler Thaber. Thaber in the FEI car got a draft, and we know those cars can cut through the air like nothing we've ever seen on this track in a long, all Thunder Week here. Watch Tyler Thaber to come up through the field here. Thaber's always had an affinity for these high-speed super speedways. On the inside, we have Alex Spencer in the DNC Mercedes. Of course, the DNC team was a bit controversial in qualifying, sending both of their two lead cars out immediately to get a draft, which kind of set off qualifying to be a big drafting show. These cars were protested by the Petronas Honda team. Nothing was done about it. However, there are a number of people in the paddock area that weren't exactly too happy with Tim Fiegel and Alex Spencer after their little qualifying schnozzle there. P4 is Noah Hart. Noah Hart, his dream is to win one of these American 700s. Still hasn't done it yet, but he's won the last two races in the ARCSOA Elite Series. He won 2 in a row. Can he make it 3 in a row and win the biggest race of his life? We will find out in about 700 miles, really. P3 is Roman Rahal. Roman Rahal was very strong in his Jaguar and has been strong on super speedways before. I will be very interested to see if Roman Rahal can translate those past successes into success today. We're on to the front row, and it's the top 2 in points with our point leader, Cody Lamas, starting on the outside. He won the first one-off race of the season at Monaco. We will see if this can translate to more success today. And on the pole for the American 700, we have Vince Freeze. Vince Freeze with his amazing draft with Cody Lamas and Maverick Force. Like I said, watch those 3 drivers. They might drop back to pick up Maverick Force or hope that Maverick Force comes up forward in the field to possibly help him out, to get him up the field. There was a pact there between the drivers to possibly get through the field here. And also, if Cody Lamas comes across Aiden Shepard, watch out for some fireworks. Speaking of fireworks, that is exactly what we expect here today at the American 700. Fireworks. Evening fireworks as these drivers race for $10 million and the biggest crown in all of ARCSOA Elite Series competition. The American 700 is a race of pure endurance, speed, and just overall ability here. Watch this race to come down to fireworks and craziness as it continues onward. We are very interested to see what happens in this race. Let's go through quickly what this race entails. Basically, there's a new rule this year. You get your laps back if you make it to the halfway mark of the race. This race is split into 2 segments at lap 175. That is because we felt the need, or ARCSOA felt the need, to allow the cars, the drivers, and teams to get a free 30-minute period to fix whatever damage is on the car and get it back out there. Cosmetic damage will be fixed. If a car is deemed too slow and in the way, they will pull the car. But if the car has not been an issue, they will be allowed to get their laps back. Now, granted, that is within reason, of course. So, everyone can get their laps back at 175. The key here is just make it to 175. Do not fall out of the race and do not be to the point where you will be slow enough that you are a hazard out there on the track. At 175, all of the cars deemed hazards will be removed from the race, and everybody else will get their laps back, and therefore for the final 175 laps, the American 700 is an all-out shootout for 175 laps. With that being said, the crucible of motorsports will be determined here. Who do you think will win this race? As the American 700 is going to begin when we come back.